Hi, good afternoon, everybody. This is Brett Lonsdale, and welcome to another webinar. This is the first webinar in this series of looking at our SharePoint framework products inside the current Microsoft SharePoint App Store. So we're going to start off looking at Social Squared and how the Social Squared discussion board can be used in both Microsoft SharePoint Online and also in Microsoft Teams. So before we get started, I'm just going to introduce you to Lightning Tools. So I'm Brett Lonsdale, and I'm a co-founder of Lightning Tools, which was founded around about 14 years ago now. And during that time, we've been building lots of different products that fill gaps inside of Microsoft SharePoint. And of course, that has evolved through all the different on-premises versions of Microsoft SharePoint into SharePoint Online and also more recently, Microsoft Teams as well. And the subject of discussion boards, this actually materialized many years ago, back in SharePoint 2007, when there was a SharePoint discussion list, but it did actually miss a lot of the functionality that you would expect of an actual discussion board that was kind of experienced elsewhere on different public-facing websites and other areas that the SharePoint user base was familiar with. So I'm also the co-founder of a company called Enlightening, and this is a new company founded by myself and my fellow MVP, Sandy Usia. And we formed a company. You can go to enlighteningtech.com and see all the different coaching platforms that we have for the Power Platform. So you can get coaching on a one-to-one through Power Apps, also in Power Automate or SharePoint and Teams and Power BI as well. So if you haven't come across Enlightening Tech before, go over to enlighteningtech.com and you'll be able to discover the new company and the different things that we're able to help through our sister company of Lightning Tools. Also a pod show host on a podcast called Techsplaining, so you can always navigate to techsplaining.net. And this week we've been meeting each day, again with a few other MVPs, and discussing Microsoft Ignite, which is taking place this week. It would have ordinarily been in New Orleans, but it's all online, of course, because of the pandemic. So if you haven't yet, there's still a day worth of material that you can register for and go and watch some of the sessions that have already taken place by many of the sort of Microsoft speakers and also MVPs as well. So we're going to be talking about Social Squared, and one of the first things we're going to address is why would you actually want to have a discussion board at all? What's the benefits of a discussion board? There's so many social features that we have nowadays. We have on our phones, we have things like WhatsApp. We also have Teams, of course, with the Posts tab. We have Yammer and communities and so on. There's lots of different areas where we can actually go through and use social discussion tools. But what is different about a discussion board? And that's the first thing that we want to address here. And really, it's about the fact that you've got a question. So if we have a question, if you think about your everyday lives, I'm sure this comes up every single day. It might be that you're making something in the kitchen, you're looking for you're baking a cake or whatever it might be, and you need to find a substitute because there's something that you didn't have, an ingredient that you didn't have, whether it's garlic or whatever. Not that you would put that in a cake, but if there was a substitute that you were looking for garlic, one of the things you could do is, of course, Google it. And by Googling that question, more than likely you're going to end up in a forum somewhere where somebody else has been in the same predicament. They've got a good suggestion and they answer it, and of course there's lots of people that comment that they tried it and it worked beautifully, and therefore you go and add something else instead of garlic into your baking. It could be that you've got a problem with a vehicle, or there's a problem with technology that you want to find the answer to. It could be endless things that you go and research on the internet, and the good thing is that these are people that you don't know, but they are a community, and together those people are able to provide you with the answer that you're looking for. But more importantly, it will continue to serve other people as well. And that's the beauty of having a discussion board. If you don't know the answer to a question, it's somewhere where you can go through and first of all search for the answer, and if you can't find the answer still, then you can go through and actually post your question. And it could be an error message or something that you're getting with inside of Microsoft SharePoint, and you've not experienced that error before. So you go and post a question, and somebody somewhere is going to know the answer to your question, or if not, they'll help you brainstorm and get the answer. So that's really the power of a discussion board, and that's something that you're not going to get by using a chat tool. You're not going to just scroll through messages in WhatsApp or scroll through your Facebook feed, looking to see if just by chance your friends ran out of garlic and they were looking for the same substitute as you. That's not going to happen. So you're going to go and search for it, and hopefully, yeah, you'll end up in a forum somewhere where somebody else has experienced that. So why have it in SharePoint and Teams? So if you take SharePoint and Teams for an example, and these are applications that we're working with every single day. We have Teams open on our desktop all day long. We're in a situation where perhaps we're working from home now due to the pandemic, and we've got a burning question. So one of the best places to go is into a discussion board inside of Teams, and you can post a question there, and you'll get that same sort of experience that you get using the internet and trying to research a question out on Google or Bing. So the benefit there is we have the posts tab that you've got inside of Teams, where again that's really helpful. We've had great experiences with that since especially the start of the pandemic, where everybody's still engaged with each other even though they're working from home. But again, if there's a sort of burning question that somebody's got, you're not going to be scrolling through that posts tab looking to see if by chance they've come up with the same question. So there's great ideas. What if you've just joined an organization or you've just joined a team? Of course, you're going to have endless questions that you want answers to. You're going to feel bad about picking up the phone and asking a colleague, or maybe emailing somebody where it's going to just simply interrupt that person's flow. So what you can do is, of course, do the same thing that we do on the internet, and that is, first of all, search for the answer. And if you search for that answer and you find it, then that's great. You've not had to interrupt anybody's flow. However, if you can't find that, then it's exactly the same experience. You can post the question inside the discussion forum. And the benefit is that it's going to serve other people that are joining that team in the future. So you, over time, build up this knowledge base of questions and answers that continue to serve employees in the future. And that just keeps everybody productive. And we all know if you can't find the answer to a question, you become unproductive and your mind starts to wander on other things and so on. So discussion boards can be used for varieties of different reasons. It doesn't always have to be sort of technical questions and answers. It could be just help and advice. It could be brainstorming ideas, supporting classroom environments, which is something we're going to look at today in our example. Also gathering feedback on ideas as well, improving productivity, and over time, like I say, building this knowledge base, and that knowledge base is going to serve people as they join your organization or join your team forever and a day. It's not something that's an idea that's trapped in an inbox somewhere, or a question that was trapped in an inbox where only the recipient of that question and the poster of the question will benefit. So we're going to take a look at Social Squared and how that can be used inside of modern SharePoint, and we'll also have a look at how it can be used with inside of Teams as well, and how easily you can go through and define the different forum groups and forums for supporting whatever it is, the sort of Q&A environment, or also the classroom. So let's jump into the demonstration. So you'll see, first of all, we've got Social Squared open here inside of SharePoint Online. And this is a SharePoint framework-based tool. So you can add it onto your modern sites. It's going to provide, obviously, that modern experience. It's responsive. The look and feel of it is going to adapt to the theme that is applied to your site. So as we go through and change the look with inside of SharePoint, if I go and choose the teal theme or something like that, you can see that that's reflected immediately with inside the look and feel of Social Squared. So in here we've got a couple of different forum groups defined. We have the first forum group is learning Python. So this was my daughter that gave me the idea. She's just started her GCSE education and she's learning Python, and yeah, she doesn't know where to start. So I thought it wouldn't be great if the actual class that she's attending had a discussion forum where people could go through and post the questions that come to them, even if they're at home, and perhaps gather answers from not just the teacher, but also from other students as well that may have similar questions. So we've got a forum group here called Learning Python, and also Python in the real world. And what I'm going to do is just show you how we can go through and define those forum groups. So as the site owner, you could go through and add a new forum group to Social Squared. And one of the things we might want to have is learning HTML. So we could go through and have that as a forum group. And within inside that forum group, we can now have more specific forums about HTML. So it might actually be the base language that we want to learn. So we can have a title for that and also a description. We can set up moderators as well. So if we wanted to have a moderator, just in case somebody posts something that they shouldn't, or they post it inside the wrong forum, anything like that, the moderator will be able to adjust that and move it into the right place. So we've got that. We've also have a CSS forum discussions as well. So we can drop that in also as our description here. So very easy to go through and actually define as the site owner the different forum groups and the different forums to serve your fellow team members or also students within inside the classroom so that they can go through and ask their questions in a place where it's going to make sense. So if I had a question on CSS, I could simply go to that CSS forum discussion and post my question there. Okay, so it's easy to navigate. So if we had a question that was a sort of classroom discussion about Python, we can go into here, and either as somebody looking for an answer or as a subject matter expert, I can go in and see the different questions that people are asking. And one of the ones that we've got here is what is Python? So I can go into that, and we can see here somebody's just straight out asked the question, what is Python, how can I get started, and can you give me an example? And I can see here that somebody has responded. So they've responded with a good paragraph as to what Python is, and they've also given a little code example as well. And we can see that the original topic creator has actually gone through and marked that as answered. And that's going to help other people that are reading this because it gives them the confidence that this is the answer that they're looking for, as opposed to this one down here where somebody thought it was a snake. So with that one, I can simply go down and downvote that. It's not the answer that we're looking for, so we can give that sort of feedback ourselves, and that again will help other people that are reading this thread. So whilst we're in here, you'll notice that as the topic creator, you'll see that I've got the ability to do things like delete the topic. So if I had created that, I could delete it, or if I was the moderator or the administrator, I can also go through and delete the topic as well. Also, moderators and administrators can move the topic. So it could be that somebody's posted this in perhaps the wrong place. So what we can do here is just click onto the move topic, and that will show me all of the other forum groups and the other forums. So if this is more relevant in a different forum, we can actually go through and select that forum and make it available there. So that will be a really easy way to just go through and move the topic. You can also make a topic sticky as well. So making it sticky is basically going to keep it at the top of the forum. So as we go and visit that forum, there could be hundreds of posts. If this is the most relevant to the forum, then that is going to remain at the top, and we'll obviously get the most views since that's what people are typically looking for. Now, if we start to get silly answers or lots of answers in here, and we've already marked the question as answered, we don't really need any more feedback. What you can also do as the moderator is simply go through and lock it. So we click onto lock, and you'll notice that all the reply options disappear, and it's just going to be used for people to research and to learn by visiting the forum. You'll also notice there's a threaded view, so we can switch between a sort of date time order to the threaded view, so we can see whether the response is replying to a reply or whether it's the reply to the original post, and just to make that a little bit clearer. The other thing that we've got here is the ability to jump straight to something that is marked as answered. So this answer here could be amongst hundreds of different answers, but this is the best one. So I want to jump straight to it. So one of the things we can do here is just click onto show answered, and that will take us straight to any posts that are marked as has answered. Okay, and the other features that we've got here are the ability to subscribe ourselves. So I can subscribe to this particular thread, to this post, and I can also, if I have again the permissions to do so, I can subscribe other people as well. So it might be that as the classroom teacher who's just created a new topic, I could go through and subscribe some of my students so that they're aware of this, and once they're subscribed, they will receive notification via email should anybody else reply to this thread as well. So, so that notification, like I say, comes in the form of an email. You can also give feedback through ratings. So we've got the ability to rate posts, and we can also vote up and down posts, and we've also got that like functionality as well. Okay, so creating a topic, let's just come down to a home study question here. So I'm going to go into the home study question, and this might be something I want to do as a teacher. You can see here we've already asked a question about why would you use a for loop versus a while loop, but I'm going to go through and add a new topic, and this is going to be something that I'm going to ask my students to do. So, so in here, we are going to basically go through and paste in an example. So homework is to write code to gather two numbers and add together. Okay, so as a teacher, we're setting our homework, and in here, as you can see, we can go through and write lots of text. In the rich text area, we've got the ability to insert paragraphs and highlight things. So we can highlight the fact that this is homework, and we can also go in and paste in the code in a code formatted way. So I'm going to select Python in here and just drop that code in. So I'm wanting somebody to, or we want students to come in and take this as an example, but they're going to gather input from the user and add those two numbers together. Notice how we can also tag this post as well. So I'm going to tag this with the word Python and maybe two numbers and things like that, and maybe homework. So we've got the ability to easily find this using a tag cloud, which you'll see in just a moment. So we'll go through and add that. So that's created the post, and hopefully in a moment we'll get a response. So we'll keep an eye out for receiving a reply from one of the classroom students, and we'll respond to that in a moment. All right, so so that's gone through and set the homework for the class. That was easy to do. If you have a look at the different views down on the left-hand side here, you saw me tagging that content. So by clicking onto the tag icon, we can actually go through and see the tag cloud. So if I wanted to jump straight into something that was maybe the while loop post, I can jump straight to that and get help on looking for while loops. I can also search as well. So if I was looking for help on my homework, and basically it was object-oriented programming that I was looking for help on, I could do a search there, and sure enough, that's going to bring back any content that matches my search results or is also tagged with that same content as well. So it makes it really easy to find that content and also to post those questions too. So there's a few other views that we have down on the left-hand side. We'll look at some more settings in a moment, but we can see here what are the most popular topics, and this is great from the point of view of a teacher or also any other subject matter expert within inside your organization, where you want to jump into this and just have a look at what are people looking at, what are they replying to at the moment, so we can go through and get engaged with those. We've also got the ability to see users that we're following or users that are following us as well. So you'll notice that I'm not following anybody, nobody is following me at the moment, but what we can do is simply select a user profile of anybody. So if I was interested in demo user 6, for example, and anything that she posts, I can go through and follow that user. So rather than just subscribing to a forum or subscribing to a post, we can actually go through and just really subscribe to a person, and therefore anything that person posts will be alerted to within an email. Okay, so um, that will show up there. We've also got the active users, which are showing up, so I can see how many posts each of my students are making. And we'll also see that there's gamification going on as well. So if we select, again, any post, in fact, sorry, let me just go ahead and create a post. Sorry, just bear with me. I'll show you that in just a moment. I was looking for the gamification badges, but not showing there just yet. So if we jump into that home study question, you'll see what we've got here is the post that we've made, and great, excellent. We've got a reply from a student. So there is a response from demo user 6, and there's some sample code. So she did her homework really quickly, and so we can go through and mark that as answered. That is the correct answer, and we can give it a like as well. Okay, so that's the kind of thing that we can do here with inside the post, and there was the badge I was looking for. So you can see that demo user 6 has actually created a post now, so a badge has been awarded to her, and we can define how many badges you would get awarded based on the number of posts that you create, number of replies that you create, and that type of thing too. So that's using Social Squared inside of SharePoint Online. What we're going to do is jump into Teams as well. So if I just refresh the page here, you'll notice that I'm actually using exactly the same forum groups and the same forums as those that we just saw with inside of SharePoint. So the Learn HTML that we just created with 2 new forums is showing up here inside of Teams as well, since it's the same repository that is serving the SharePoint site and also the team. So that means your users can post and reply to posts in their favorite application, whether they prefer to be working inside of SharePoint or with inside the team environment. So in here, we of course can access all of the same content. It's really straightforward to go through and add Social Squared. So you can add Social Squared as a tab. So you can select it here, and that will basically go through and add it on as a tab inside your team. You can also access it over on the left-hand side here as a personal app as well. So just like the brand new Power App that you may have seen coming in here, allowing you to build apps using Power Apps inside of Teams. We can also go through and access Social Squared in the same way, and this brings me some different forum groups and some different forums that we can sort of ask at an organizational level, so they're not tied to any specific team or any specific channel. So in there, it could be that we have some forum groups and forums that affect every single employee, such as employee well-being and employee benefits and things like that. So you can go through and post your questions within those areas. Okay, so you can add it to Teams, you can add it to Teams tabs, and like I say, you can also add it as the personal app. What we're going to do is just come down here as well. So where we've got our high school programming with the general tab, what I'm going to do is actually go through and add another channel. So we can have a channel that is dedicated to Python. Otherwise, we're going to end up with quite a few forum groups. So we've got a Python channel in here, and we could also go through and add another one for HTML. So this also acts as another level to our forum groups and our forums. So adding Social Squared onto the Python tab or Python channel, we can go through and select that. And it just takes a moment to add it into that channel. And the default is you're going to see exactly the same forum groups and the same forums and all of those same discussions. But notice how the settings pane is open since we've just added it. And one of the things I can do there is restrict this one to just showing the Python group or the Python forum group. Sorry, learning Python is what I was looking for. So, so adding that in there allows me to see that group, and we can add additional groups as well by just using the comma as a separator there. And likewise on the HTML, We could add social squared at that point. And just decide to show the Learn HTML forum group. Okay, so we've got each channel has a sort of dedicated forum group to that channel, but if we go to the General tab and click onto Social Squared, we're going to see all of the forum groups there. So we get this sort of aggregated view of everything to do with programming within inside that class. Okay, so there's also a few settings that we will go over. So if we bring up the Settings tab, you'll notice we can, of course, provide titles and so on to the web part or to the app in Teams. We've got the admin role. So the admin role can go through and define all the different forum groups and the forums and so on. And typically that is the site owner that would have that responsibility. But using this, you can actually go through and specify a SharePoint group that is going to have that role. So you can have multiple people that are administrators. We can also show content that's from a certain period in time. So if this was a classroom, we could show a sort of rolling year of content. We can also show it from a custom date as well. So maybe the start of the academic year, we would start with a clean slate. So any discussions are not being carried over from previous years, and we're keeping everything current. So you've got some options there on where that content is coming from. And the other thing we've got here is also the ability to specify an alternate content source. So when you provision Social Squared with inside a team or with inside SharePoint, it's going to go through and create some SharePoint lists as the repository, and all the forum groups will be available through that site or through that particular team. But if we want to also share these forum groups across different sites that may be in different site collections, then one thing we can do is actually specify the alternate content source, which will be another site URL, and we'll basically use those same lists from that site with inside this instance of the web part. So you're able to share forum groups across different sites. So between things like sales and marketing, if they had their own sites, they could actually still collaborate on the same subjects. And then there's just some other refinements around the style of rich text editors and different refinements about how many posts we get, what is considered to be recent, what is considered to be active from a user's point of view, and so on. And also other restrictions to stop certain file attachments being made, restrict the size of those attachments, and then you've also got the ability to turn on and turn off each of the different features as well, like tagging and likes and votes if they're not relevant to the style of forum that you're creating. There are some badges as well. So this is the gamification. So the more you post, the more badges you get. So you can define how many badges people would be awarded by providing the range there. And finally, the application ID is used for the mobile phone app. So you can go through and register Social Squared as an app as an app registration inside of Azure, and that will provide an application ID that you paste in here. And when you log on through the Social Squared mobile phone app, you can provide that application ID along with your Microsoft credentials, and that will take you to these forum groups and forums. But of course, you could also use the Teams app as well and access Social Squared through there. And before we jump into a Q&A, I'm also just going to show you, of course, while you're in Teams, this is, after all, a programming forum group. So what I'm going to do is go through and set that to dark mode, because that's the law. Any developers need to use the dark mode. So you can see in here, we've now got the dark mode showing. So that reflects all the way through Social Squared as well. And we've also got the ability to go through and turn on the high contrast as well, if that's something that you wanted to set. Okay, so hopefully that's given you a good overview and some ideas of how you could use Social Squared with inside of Teams for your organization or for your departments. What I'm going to do now is just open up a Q&A. So if anybody's got any questions, you can either post them into the questions pane with inside the GoToWebinar, or you can raise your hand and I'll unmute you and you can ask your question. Or alternatively, you can email me on brett@lightningtools.com or follow us on @lightningtools as well. Okay, so we do have at least one hand raised at the moment. This is Catherine. So Catherine, I'm going to unmute you. No, you're self-muted, so I think you'll have to unmute yourself. Okay, if that's not going to work for you, Catherine, you can post your
Hi,
question.
Brett. Sorry.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry, I got you.
it was a slight delay.
That's
Yeah,
all right. How you doing?
this is Catherine. So when are notification settings foreseen to be released in this social squared modern SharePoint app? Because I've noticed there's a difference for us users who are used to the SharePoint on-prem 2016. There was the ability to have email notifications either immediately, daily, or weekly digest, and also under the circumstance, whether it was add a new topic or all activity. We're transitioning now to the modern SharePoint environment, and it looks great. This is the one gap that I'm seeing because we don't want to risk spamming our users with an email notifications. So we'd rather give them the ability to decide the frequency themselves. So where on the roadmap could you maybe give an idea for these settings of notifications?
Yeah, absolutely. That's absolutely a great question. So, yeah, back in the on-premises version, as you mentioned, and just for everybody's benefit, we had the ability to actually subscribe. You still have that ability now, so you can subscribe to a forum, you can subscribe to a topic, and you'll be notified should somebody reply to it, and also you'll be notified if you're the moderator and so on as well to the fact that that post needs moderating. Yeah, you're right, that is an immediate email here in the online version. One of the benefits that we had in the on-premises version was the fact that we could have timer jobs, since it was a full trust web part. And those timer jobs, or an equivalent of those timer jobs, doesn't exist in SharePoint Online against the SharePoint framework at the moment. But that is one thing that we're working on. The way that we're working on it is actually through delivering through a bot and using notifications that way. There's something brand new called adaptive cards, so we can just serve those sort of notifications in a different way. So that's something that we are actively working on at the moment, and hopefully we'll have a really good example soon on how that will work for you.
Okay, great.
So
Thank you.
no immediate news at the moment, but yeah, we are working on it, and we are aware that that's something that we need to add into the product.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Catherine. Okay, so looks like there's another question as well. So this is, can external users also use Social Squared? So yeah, absolutely. This is something that, of course, any member can use. So with that, if you make them an external user, a member of a group, an Office 365 group, and they have access to the SharePoint site or they have access to the team, then yeah, they can engage in those conversations in the same way. So yeah, that's certainly possible. All right, I think that's all the hands raised and the questions in the question panel. So yeah, I want to thank you all for attending. If you do have any questions that come to mind, feel free to drop me a line on brett@lightningtools.com. And also, if you want to experience the web part, as announced by Jeff Teeper this week, we are one of the first companies to have SharePoint Framework products inside the App Store. So you can go into the App Store using the SharePoint site and add Social Squared that way. And once it's inside your app catalog, if you want to make that available to Teams, you can click onto the Sync to Teams button, and that will show it up inside your Teams tabs as well. So you can add that anywhere within inside of your channels within inside the Teams platform or as a personal app. All right, so thanks very much, everybody, and look forward to seeing you again on another webinar.